action, and help us not just to talk about things, but to be good listeners too, for the benefit of our community. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go ahead and call our meeting to order for Tuesday, Tax Day, April 15th. We have approval of minutes before you and special meeting minutes, council members, from April 1st and April 4th. What is your pleasure?
Make a motion. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve regular council meeting minutes from April 1st as well as special meeting April 4th. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We don't have anyone signed in to speak this evening, but I did want to give you guys an update on someone who did speak last time. Bridget Roy had come to us over an issue on Maple Street. We've communicated with our insurance company. That's still ongoing. I've had a chat with her since I got back from my conference last week. Danny submitted a report, so our insurance company and their investigative team will communicate with her. So that's been taken care of. We will go into departmental updates. You guys have before you the work order items as well as reports from the varying department heads. I will say one item that it probably falls under that. You guys probably saw the social media buzz about our vandalism. I'm gonna let Greg speak to that, but we're well on the way to taking care of that. And Greg, I'll just let you.
Yeah, so we've got some really good leads, a lot of really good leads actually, that pointing to the same individuals. Our investigators have already opened up the case and spoken to those individuals. Not had a lot of success there, but we're still gathering some evidence that we'll need, and we've got some solutions to the problem once we gather that evidence. So we're gonna fix this part of the problem. I think what we really need to focus on now is the future, and what does that look like for the next time that this happens, so to prevent it.
And I'll just echo that by saying the public was very concerned about what was happening. After I posted to our social media pages, we got a lot of feedback that I forwarded on to Officer Lucas, and there was a lot of information to discern from that, which I think led to a lot of what they were able to figure out. So as that moves on, we'll handle that appropriately. And I'll tell you what we had talked about between Greg and I is that we're not out to ruin anybody's life. We want to handle this appropriately, but also, this body has made significant investment in the things that we provide for quality of life here. And I think it's important that there is not that we're teaching someone a lesson, but I think there is a lesson to be learned here for those young people or the parties responsible, that it's all our responsibility to take care of the least we have. So I think that's the ultimate goal, and that's been from the detectives who are handling this along with Greg, and the conversation's been good, so we'll get there. We don't have old business this evening, but we do have a couple of items of new business. We don't have anyone signed in to speak. I'll say that for the record. We do have new business, and it's the second reading of our fiscal year 2025-26 general fund budget and the coal severance budget. We'll vote on this separately, but the general fund budget in the amount of $11,517,772. This being the second reading, I'll entertain a motion to approve that. We have gotten conditional approval. Ms. Stick.
I'll make a motion.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? I will say, John, to you and your staff, thank you for the work on the budget, and thanks for the daily conversations too. You guys, the work does not go unnoticed, and the nice thing is that we have a great relationship with the state, and our feedback is always very good. So thank you for the diligence with respect to the general fund and coal severance budget, which we have a motion and a second on the general fund budget for the aforementioned amount. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Second item is the second reading of the fiscal year 2025-26 coal severance budget in the amount of $24,200.
Make that motion.
Motion and a second. Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is consideration of approval of bid award for purchase of trench roller in the amount of $16,600 $781.47. The other half will, of course, be a split sanitary board. This is another opportunity that we have to share expenses because we both do the same type of work. So the amount that you guys will approve tonight is $16,781.47.
Make the motion.
Motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussions or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is consideration of approval of bid award for purchase of a new police cruiser in the amount of $57,980.00. Did anyone want to speak to that this evening? This is a, go ahead.
So this is a Chevy Tahoe, and it's specifically for one of our detectives, Wes Wright. Wes is the closest thing we have to a CSI officer. He is our field evidence technician, and he has a lot of equipment. So if there's a death, he goes and he's the one that photographs the scene. If there's a major crime, he's the one that goes and prints people and photographs and draws. So he has a lot of equipment that he has to haul around in his cruiser. And so we wanted this vehicle specifically outfitted for him. Another issue is Wes is 6'8", about 300 pounds. So he looks like a child in a regular cruiser. Yeah, this vehicle will best suit the needs of that office and that officer.
So you have the discussion from Officer Lucas with respect to the police cruiser. It will be a Chevy Tahoe in the amount of $57,980. If there's no further questions or comments, go ahead.
Does that police cruiser come complete?
It's a police package.
Okay.
So one thing we don't need in that police car is a cage, because he's not gonna be hauling prisoners, so we won't put the cage in the back, but it'll still have lights and sirens and a radio.
So that amount of $57,000 comes with that package.
That comes with the police package. The lights and the sirens are extra, but it's wired for that, so it's a minimal cost for them.
I'll make a motion, we purchase the vehicle at $57,980.
We have a motion and a second on the floor.
I do have one question.
Sure.
As far as what he's using right now, is that gonna stay in service, or is that being completely replaced?
Will stay in service. He's got a newer vehicle, so that'll be rotated back to the ship.
Okay,
and that'll be-
so we're
that'll be
going a
assigned
+1
to
either
another
way,
officer.
okay.
So, I was wanting to ask also,
Sure.
the budget, last year's budget, did we not have a couple vehicles already in the budget for,
Cruisers.
yes?
John, what do we budget for cruisers this year?
Well, I thought we were doing
Just, I
something
mean,
every
Well,
year.
we budgeted
We-
3.
We did, we budgeted for 3 vehicles. This is
So
an
this
additional,
will
yeah.
this be one of them?
Well, the cruiser he's in, as Officer Lucas said, will rotate back into the fleet. This is an extra vehicle because of what Wes does in his daily duties, and also, if you remember, when we bought the vehicle for our public works director, and I'll say this, I'm very, we challenge Wes is not.
Yeah, but I'm just curious, I mean, if it's already in the budget, why do we need to approve it? I mean, if there's money's already available in the budget.
Anything, yeah,
What is it?
individual items, I have an authority to spend, as you guys well know, to a certain amount. The things that have to be bid out, we still have to bring back before council.
Even if it was the ones that were budgeted, we'd still be voting, is that what?
Because we get through
So,
bid
but this-
process required by the state.
This money, this expenditure it's not gonna be coming from, it's gonna be coming from the budget, it's not gonna be coming from.
I'm gonna have to make a budget adjustment for this.
So then I'd have to just ask why. Why would, I mean, if the money is already there in the budget, why would we?
I didn't say that the money was already there. I didn't say.
The,
We have-
the
we have
cruiser, we have
three
cruisers
cruisers
that are in the budget. This vehicle being a Tahoe is an extra expenditure. The extra expense for his vehicle to outfit what he does as a detective, which is what Officer Lucas spoke to, is an additional expense.
I understand that, but his service, vehicle is gonna be returned back into service.
Right?
So now we only need 2 cruisers for the year, we won't need 3. And that's all I'm just a
No,
simple.
that's okay. It's a valid question. I mean, I guess that's something we have to discuss with the department about
Yeah, so when
the
his
vehicles in service and what their wear and tear is, and then also be a discussion between the mechanics as well. for those three that we're trying to replace.
I'm all for it.
I'm not, yeah, it's not an argument, I'm just saying that there's an amortization schedule we were trying to get on to replace vehicles if they need to be replaced.
Yes.
So, having said that, if this one's come back into the fleet, that is a discussion to be had, I agree with that. Do we have a motion and a second for the purchase of Wes's vehicle? Okay. Any other questions, comments, or otherwise? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Donnie, I'll talk with Greg and the chief, about the rotation of the vehicles again, and John, and we'll come
Yeah,
back.
I think it's important.
No, I agree with that.
Every year.
Yep. We went so long without that, and not having an amortization schedule about when something's supposed to wear out. We've been pretty diligent about doing that, and that's in large part to John and his communication with the department, so I will come back and readdress that when we get back to a subsequent meeting. Okay, so we're good on the vote for that, okay. Alright, the next item is consideration of approval of replacement of 6 light poles on Payton Street. Danny, I'll let you speak to this. I think we have had roundabout discussions about this out along those light poles that were developed when the bridge just somewhere was developed, and the subsequent development out there. We've had a couple of those light poles be hit or otherwise. The parts have become antiquated. They were put in way before I think any of us were on council. So Danny has gone to work with State Electric. So if you want to speak to that item, I would welcome your comments.
There were 6 light poles, a couple of them does not work, and, the fixtures are outdated, and the height of them is such that we don't have the means to get up there without renting a bigger piece of equipment to maintain those. So we're gonna replace those with a shorter light pole, which, puts out the same amount of light. And then we'll probably have to rent a piece of equipment in order to take those 6 down and put the new 6 up.
Your final costs on those?
$13,488.
Okay. So that's the replacement for light poles along the west side of Payton Street.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with that number and replace 6 light poles.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, that particular road, is that not, state road?
No,
Okay, it is our road?
it's all right.
Okay, and it's a power pole, so power company cannot put the poles in? Am I correct in
I
saying
think
that?
the developer put them in.
Okay,
They're standalone.
We took them over back.
we took them over.
We took that
okay.
over when the development happened, and that was.
I think we have put those in.
These aren't wooden telephone poles, these are
No,
The
those
light
are metal,
poles.
those are
Okay.
commercial.
They're
Did we not put them in?
metal light poles.
I
Okay,
am
I was
gonna
thinking-
say,
Been a long time.
Small.
it's been a minute,
yeah.
and that was when, I wanna say Jeff James was involved in that initial development, but having said that, we took it over.
I think
Gotcha,
it's-
okay, that makes sense.
Part of
That makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah.
I think.
So your final figure was $13,000.
$13,488.
We have a motion and a second from Donnie.
Yeah,
I've got 2 more questions though before we move. Yeah, we got a motion,
Yeah,
second,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
We are, with this, we're only replacing what's there, correct? We're not additional,
Yeah.
okay? And then just for my own personal reference, the one piece is 1,800 a piece and the other one's 420 a piece. Is it the light itself is at $1,800 or is it the pole itself is $1,800? I just wondered, just for my reference of what stuff's costing right now. Do you have any clue which one was more expensive? No, I don't know why I wanna know which one's the pole, which one's the light itself, but I don't see a way of differentiating honestly, so. It's fine. That was just a thought question. Alright.
Out of just memory, and I could be wrong, I wanna say fixture was the, yeah.
Okay, alright, thanks.
Having said that, well, we'll go ahead and take a vote. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, questions otherwise? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now that we're getting into spring season, there are power poles that are out. If someone asks you about one, don't take the pole number down. Kim or Danny, we have people we can call the power company for the ones that they do take care of. And we can get those in pretty quick, and they're usually pretty good to replace those. So if you have those type issues that people were asking about, just tell them to get the pole number. You can text me, Rachel, or Danny, or someone in City Hall. We can get those reported just as quickly as we can. Okay, we are to the end of our regular agenda. We're gonna comments. I do wanna mention a couple of things. I had an opportunity to speak to the first and second grades today with Officer Charlie C. at the elementary school. It's always an appreciated invitation to talk about, you know, what mayors do, what police departments do, and what city councils do. It's funny how you have to, it's not a talk down, but it's like you have to compartmentalize and get on their level, because we talk on technical level sometimes, but it's always good to have that conversation. And I'll say this, all the compliments were about our school resource officers and our police department visiting the schools. It was pretty cool to hear that. And you know, when you start talking about Todd and Charlie, they run up to them and give them hugs every day. And I know this is silly to talk about, but it's important to those kids. And after having the time to sit with them and talk for about an hour each group, you realize how much they pay attention. So, Gray, if you wouldn't mind, pass that along to your officers. Those guys, their work and their presence does not go unnoticed, even in the school zones. High fives and the hugs and the passing out candy is not lost on those kids. It was a good day. So that, and also tomorrow at 11 a.m. they will be dedicating a mural to the Woody Williams Foundation and our Medal of Honor recipient Woody Williams. If you would like to attend, it'll be there in the mall complex in the food court tomorrow. And then from Brandy and Andre, had a chance to talk to them over the past few days after return to the conference. You guys are seeing stuff out about the Vineyard of the Village and Mother's Day Tea. Those days are back to back, May the 10th and the 11th. So please, if you get a chance, share those out. Ticket sales are great for both already. But as you know, Brandy uses it as a fundraiser from the Vineyard Project for Christmas lights and something new for us. So if you get a chance to share those out, Mother's Day Tea's on the 11th and Vineyard of the Village is on May 10th. And then I got information from Officer Lucas today about the building we've been discussing for the park. Numbers are preliminary, but we had a chance to get some numbers back. Those came back in the last day or so. So as Danny has been back in the office and I'm back in the office this week after attending that conference, we'll get back on the drawing board about those and bring that report back to you as well. That is all I have. We'll start with you, Rachel.
I think we're good this evening, other than thank you all for being here with us. A couple things. Do we not have cameras out of the park that would prevent or take pictures of somebody instead of us have to post it on Facebook and I'll offer a reward? I'm just thinking if we had cameras out there, and I don't know whether we even have internet service out there. I don't know what Andre does for internet service out there, but it's something that we need to think about. We should have thought about years ago, but in order to protect what we have out there, and if we could catch them sooner, or, you know, it's just something that I've been thinking about since this transpired again. I'm thinking, you know, this is sad because nobody, you know, other than when you posted it, you start getting people to come in, but it's just something I've thought about that needs to be addressed. There was one other thing, and I've just completely forgot it.
With respect to the cameras, I'm gonna let Greg speak to that. We've had discussions about that, and there are certain rules about the buildings that house restrooms, which we have to be careful of, but I'm gonna let you kind of address the cameras.
Yeah, we've looked at strategically where we could place a few cameras, and Joe has contacted Freddie to investigate that.
Okay.
The good thing is there's only one way in and one way out.
That is true,
So
yes.
we've got that. So if we can station something strategically in those areas, even away from the buildings, we know who's coming in and who's going out of the park. That's probably our best way to approach that.
Okay, that makes sense. We just remembered, the other couple months ago, this lady from Hipper Drive gave Nisha a bunch of houses and stuff that were in disarray and needed adjusted. I didn't know, was that given to Mike?
Yeah.
So, because I have one to add to it, so maybe I'm not gonna do it.
Well, if you'll give me an address afterwards,
Yes,
just so you know, spring tagging program started this week.
okay,
So
okay.
there's, and one of the houses that were mentioned by Nisha in a meeting a few times ago, there's a plan to do demolition there already, and property upkeep. So Mike's on top of the, trying to stay out in front of the yards that need to be mowed and some of the properties that are unkept. And I've gotten responses back already, but I'll get a report for you for the next time so you guys can see where he's
Okay,
addressed.
good.
And then I'll take the address that you wanted to mention after the meeting.
That's all. Thank you all for coming. That's good. Hey, Mike, thanks for coming.
No, Mike, thanks for coming.
I've got an issue,
Okay.
Okay.
if I can speak about it. Pea Ridge Public Service District. They've had my water shut off.
Okay.
They won't answer the phone. I've been gone for 12 hours today. I come home, my water's turned off.
Okay.
They've not sent any notices. They've not made any phone calls. They've not sent anything in the mail. I'm frustrated with them.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to you at the meeting too, but I'll make a call this evening to their general manager. Anything else, sir? Good. Just hang out every meeting.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a way that we could put it on the thing coming into town about the grass that goes to the drains, that then clogs everything. I mean, I'm literally walking and cleaning stuff out of drains.
There's a graphic for that we used last year, and it's also going out in the next edition of the newsletter.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I haven't received my newsletter in 2 months now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're on the list.
I know I am. Sorry, Nisha, no, it's okay.
No, it's okay. Because we were talking about this the other day, and Mike and Brandon and I were talking about stuff to go in, but that article or that mention will go in the newsletter, and I'll follow up on your address meeting there. Because I know you've gotten it before.
Yes, I have.
I think it might have went.
I think the signage is good too, because everybody gets a newsletter and not everybody signed up for it. But I also want to compliment our app, it's very handy, to get all the notifications that we like them, and then it also keeps your number of unread messages, I've noticed from experience, until you actually touch the particular notification. So it's kind of handy, just the way they have it set up, just to be a reminder also, but kudos to the app.
Thank you very much. There's been a concerted effort between Brandy and Holly and a number of us to put stuff out. I think it's helped a lot. Thank you all. Make sure to pass
I
on.
like the road closes and the positive, the events, but also what's happening in town. We just need to work
Trash
on it.
change it is.
Yeah, that's good.
It's been very helpful for sure. I'll make sure to mention that. So thank you, Mr. Keaton.
Thank you guys for coming. I don't have a whole lot to say tonight. Thank you guys. That's it.
John, number one, thanks for putting all the numbers together and getting it all straightened out. But it did bring up a thought, and I don't even remember if we did this or addressed it or not, but you had brought up software. Did we ever look at the new software you were needing or wanting? Did we ever purchase that?
Yeah, we got.
Okay, all right, we are.
got 3 years ago.
Okay, I just remember, I know how much work goes into that budget, and did we ever go
Yeah.
finally there or not? 'Cause I think at the time you brought it up, it wasn't an option, and then I never remember if we circled back or not. Okay. And then as far as the cruiser talk goes, if the next time we do bring cruisers around, if we could maybe have an inventory just so we can see the
Sure.
overall picture of what we do
Yep.
have and
Yep.
in service and what's kind of
Option, option.
just
Let me clarify the statement that I made. There were 6 cruisers budgeted because we couldn't get 3 the year before in the budget. So we made the budget 300,000 for 6 vehicles. We've purchased 5 vehicles, but with the outfitting of those vehicles, we are currently over budget. So we're not buying an extra vehicle, we just don't have the money to buy the extra vehicle without a budget adjustment.
We've already used up what was budgeted. Okay. Not number of vehicles. But yeah, just to report to know, we can see on paper where we're at,
Yep.
how old some of them are getting, and maybe we're in better shape than what we realize sometimes, but just an overall. And then on the camera talk about the park and protecting it, I've always had a thought about even our entrances into town, if there's any type of system that might be beneficial for things that do happen in town, we can see some more traffic, maybe, the odd ends of the hour and stuff, but I didn't know if there was a system that was out there in the world that would track certain entrances and a plate reader that might I didn't know, just a thought, if we can maybe keep in the back of our mind, just another way to protect our town and have a backup plan.
The choices are almost endless when it comes to plate readers and cameras.
Okay.
It's just a matter of how much you want to
Yeah.
invest in it. We've even talked about, the mall area, as much traffic from the mall that we have leaving that have committed crimes, if we get a plate reader there, that would help us.
Okay.
But yeah, plate readers on the entrances to the city would be beneficial. I think it would be very beneficial at the park, because especially at night when nobody's out there, there might be 4 or 5 cars that go in there. So that would narrow it down for us tremendously on something that happened in the park.
But there is software out there that would log these, like at a higher traffic area, that would log plates and keep a
Yes.
record of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe something to keep in mind to budget for, not
Send it
saying
directly to our officers' computers.
whenever they hit a trigger thing. Okay. Alright. Yep, maybe one day we'll get some numbers together and plan for that one, but that's all I have.
Thank you.
For Belfry, Ohio, when you go across that bridge and
Yeah,
you're
it's all-
Thanks for everybody for coming. One thing, on that same note about, we've talked about it a number of times. I like, one system, and I'm all for the plate readers. I think that's a great idea, especially at the entrance and that kind of thing. Snowshoe has a really nice program. You can check the snow conditions. You can go on the internet anytime, 24/7, and you can see they have cameras all over their trails, and you can see what the conditions and that kind of stuff. Anything you want to do, and it's a pretty good system. And anybody can be watching it at any time, and I'm sure that they don't have any nefarious activities. Of course, that's a little bit farther away. But I wanted to promote Tommy Pinson, a buddy of mine. He is the 82nd Airborne. That they're having a car show. It's going to be over here in Sadler Field May 1st. And I also thought that that might be something that we could add to.
If you want to have him shoot me if there's a flyer or something, we get ready to convert it to the message board. And we'll
Yeah.
share it on social media too.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
I'm actually the one that talked him into inquiring about using Sadler Field, because they were talking about going up somewhere up to Charleston, or trying to figure out what they were going to do. But yeah, that would be nice to help them.
You know, call me or call Brandy, either one. We'll make sure to get it out there.
Okay. All right. And the last thing I got is that when you had the talk with the first and second graders over there, now it would have been a great opportunity for you to reintroduce the long hike with the mayor program. Just throwing that out
I
there.
appreciate that. Thank you. When you see the pictures, you're not gonna know who's the student and who's the mayor, though. I'm not taller than one of them.
That's all I got, sir.
Thank you very much.
For instance, what Bonnie said about the trail cameras that Snowshoe and them were doing, that might be a good road option for us to put it out there on the trails, and then at least it'd be an advantage to use the.
We can explore options. Greg and I'll talk, and we have some help on grant writing too. We'll see what the options are and go from there. For sure.
Is that back entrance locked to the park at night?
No,
So there's 2 entrances.
there went 2 ways in, 2 ways out. Yeah.
Because earlier when he said there was just one way in and one way out, I was like,
Well, I meant if you go in
Right.
one way and go out the other.
Oh, okay.
ways,
Yeah.
I was like, I just wanted, because you were talking about the cameras, and I was like, that's a great idea on both ends.
Can I mention something?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. You know as you're going down the bridge there, right at the bottom is a street light. But it's not working right, so it's just pitch black right there. And I was just gonna say,
Connects to the new sidewalk. Is that what
yeah,
you're
where's the
talking about?
sidewalk? Yeah, right
We'll
there.
get a poll number. Thank you.
Because,
for telling me.
I mean, somebody's gonna get hit by a car or something. But it's so dark right there.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Is there anything else to come for the good of the order? Otherwise, thank you for coming. We will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.